Denver 8 TV, your city, your source.
Good evening, I'm Brad Buchanan. I'm the Executive Director with Denver's Community Planning and Development Department. And I have the privilege of introducing your host and MC this evening, which I'll do in just a minute. But first, I just want to say, sort of help define and describe sort of the context of where these awards come from and why we think they're so important, and what you do is so critical to how we're building this great city. Just this past summer, Community Planning and Development did a social media campaign called My Favorite Place, and we asked every citizen in Denver to tell us, what is your favorite place? And through a variety of different sources, all kinds of different locations, we think we got between 2,000 and 3,000 posts from folks all over the city. Great views, great historic buildings, great plazas, great urban places, great places to sit and have a glass of wine with your neighbors. It was fantastic. And the reason that I was so excited about the result was that I hope that our city can continue to have great place-making, urban design, planning, and design conversations about what great design is. Because honestly, a lot of the design conversations we have are about when there's a controversy, when there's something at stake, and there's an agenda, there's something to argue about. And so great cities talk about great design all the time. If you go to Chicago, I have family in Chicago. If you go and visit my Uncle Steve in Chicago, a retired Intermatic timer salesman, he talks about two things. He talks about the Cubs and he talks about design. He can tell you about the latest, greatest building design, and he's not somebody with the planning or architect kind of background. It's the water they swim in. And so that's why these awards are so important too, and why what you do and what you talk about, how you do this, and why you care about the places you've created, your new favorite place that you've created, is so important. Every one of these projects is something that all of you brought your heart to. It's an experience you had in making it. It's an experience that we all have in being in that place. And whether it's something that we just smile at for a couple of minutes, or projects, many of these projects that will change people's lives forever, that's why design matters. That's why great, reaching for, setting a high bar really matters. It inspires us. You inspire me. I was looking at the awards today, and I was part of the panel that looked at them with the mayor, and inspiring, amazing work. So thank you so much for that and all that you've done. Now let me introduce a man that doesn't need an introduction, my boss, and the guy who is in charge of setting all of this vision for our city, our mayor, Michael Hancock.
Thank you all, and welcome to the 2014 Mayor's Design Awards. It's a real honor and privilege to be here tonight. I gotta tell you, this is one of my favorite events. I love this event, primarily because Brad and his team actually let me make a decision as to who the honorees are. Typically, I get to just show up and hand out an award, but actually I get to sit down with the team and just walk through each of these and talk about the value and the uniqueness of each design and why they should, it warrants the award. Let me start first by thanking Brad Buchanan for all of his hard work and his entire team. And I'll ask you if you would join with me in thanking Brad Buchanan and the entire team at CPD for all they do. Tonight I want to acknowledge the presence of a couple of familiar faces. I will start with Councilman Albus Brooks, who is here tonight. Councilman Albus Brooks from District 8, thank you for being here tonight. Councilman Brooks, you know, he's feeling especially good tonight because he has 5 honorees in his district, the most than any council district in the city of Denver. So we congratulate you, Councilman Brooks, even though you didn't really have anything to do with any of them. We congratulate you. We'll go back to just Brad Buchanan for just a quick moment and acknowledge his presence. And Brad's been with the city for less than a year, but under his leadership, there's been a great deal of energy about his role, about his presence in the city of Denver. This is a real opportunity for the city because a lot's going on. But I believe we're in a transformative moment. To have someone of Brad Buchanan's ilk leading such a dynamic and wonderful team at CPD is really a special moment in the city that we've not had in a very long time. And so I just want to again acknowledge his presence and thank him for his leadership in the city and county of Denver. Tonight I want to thank our sponsors. Let's start with the Denver chapter of the American Institute of Architects, Humphrey Poly Architects. I also want to thank Denver Arts and Venues for, of course, letting us use this wonderful, very beautiful facility, and Mark Gabriel DeBell and the rest of the staff for getting us ready to roll tonight. Lastly, I want to thank again Brad and CPD for their continued work in organizing and coordinating tonight's honorees. And so let's get started with the reason we are all here, because we want to make sure we do this and we get you home before the streets freeze over again. I also want to thank our selection committee. Of course, Peter Park, the Associate Professor at CU Denver College of Architecture and Planning and the former Executive Director of Community Planning and Development. John Olson, Director of Preservation Programs with Historic Denver. Brianna Boren of Snooze AM Eatery, who also serves as co-chair of City Build, an energetic and youthful group of city dwellers who engage people in building a great city. Thank you all. Please give our selection committee a round of applause. Tonight we have 15 winners in 7 categories. At this time, when there's so much construction activity in our city, each of you can take great pride in the fact that you are the cream of the crop. So tonight, we're going to get started. Our first category is active spaces. These projects are about placemaking. These activate spaces in a way that creates interaction, discourse, and community. And they encourage us to consider the public realm in new ways. Our first winner is Meet in the Street, singular. This was an event organized by Downtown Denver Partnership and the Downtown Denver Business Improvement District on July 20th and August 10th. The idea was to re-engage downtown Denver's central artery as an open, multi-purpose, walkable space to encourage more people to engage with business and build community. It gave those of us who frequent the mall a chance to think about its potential, not just as a street, but as a true gathering place. Our next winner in the active spaces category is the first project of its kind here in Denver, but we hope is the first of many. The South Pearl Street Bike Corrals are a great example of a community-led initiative that not only enhances the neighborhood, but also supports local businesses. The South Pearl branded bike corrals, decorated with colorful flower boxes, are the brainchild of the local Merchants Association with support for their council office. Each corral replaces a single parking space with room for up to 12 potential customers, providing that a multimodal approach to our streets is truly good for business. These corrals now serve as a model for the rest of the city as we look to new ways to enhance our business corridors. Our final award in the active spaces category goes to Mariposa Phase 3 Interactive Stair. And I got to tell you, before it was proposed as for the design awards, this had become one of my favorite places in Denver for all that it represents. In its entirety, the Mariposa Phase 3 development is a sight to behold, with a design intended to honor the neighborhood's rich cultural traditions while promoting a healthy lifestyle. Nowhere is that intention more clear than the interactive stair, which bring Meso-American folklore to life with lights and sound that are artfully encourage active living among the building's residents. Now, the Mayor's Design Awards traditionally focus exclusively on exterior design, but we notice that where it is visible, this unusual interior element succeeds in capturing the attention of those outside as well. Our next category is called This is Home. These single-family projects are sensitive contributions to neighborhood fabric and underscore the importance of making places we inhabit truly our own. The first of our two winners in this category are the residences at 3513 and 3515 Delgany Street. This home and adjacent rental property were built by David Fox and Patricia Jaden. Working with our architecture firm Davis Urban, they used advanced building methods and technology to create an energy-efficient, sustainable home that embraces the eclectic style of the River North community. The result is a small, uniquely designed structure that fits in among the industrial and mixed-use developments that dot their neighborhood, but one that is also easily recognizable as a home. From a brand new 21st century home, we go to one that's more than a century old, the Pellicore residence at 301 Humboldt Street. This is our second winner in the This Is Home category and the first of several projects among tonight's winners that involve the preservation of historic properties. This 1908 Dutch colonial gem in Denver's Country Club Historic District has two able stewards and owners, Karen and Richard Pellicore. This project involved repairing exterior elements that detracted from the home's character and putting in addition that linked the house to the garage and created a new breakfast room in their kitchen. With architect Doug Walter and builder Mike Garner, they worked to seamlessly incorporate these new elements into the home while honoring its original design by Varian and Sterner. Our next winner comes in the Sustainable Style category. This category is intended not just to highlight green building, but also to showcase projects that incorporate sustainability into how we live, use, and interact with buildings and shared spaces. The Aria Apartments project is a wonderful example of this goal. With its open spaces and community gardens, these apartments characterize a place and healthy living principles of the larger Aria Denver community. Designed by Oz Architecture and built by Palace Construction, the complex is certified LEED Platinum and includes solar arrays that defray energy costs for residents. These residents include families earning from 30 to 60% of the median income in the Denver area. For them, sustainability is now not merely a luxury, but truly accessible way of life. Our next category is Density by Design, for larger multifamily and mixed-use developments that use bold, eye-catching design to balance the growing need of our dense urban environment with the unique charm and character that draws so many to our city. We have one winner in this category, the Emerson Lofts, located at the corner of 8th Avenue and Emerson Street in Governors Park and owned by Full & Wider, I knew that, Incorporated and CF Studio. This project bridges Capitol Hill's historic multifamily buildings and Emerson Street single-family homes. The design by CF Studio, built by Millender White Construction, takes into consideration the residential traits and rhythm of Emerson and the commercial scale and feel of 8th Avenue. The result is a successful integration of the multifamily development with great presence into one of the city's historic districts. Our last single winner category is Art All Around. This category is for projects that use murals, sculpture, and other forms of public art to transform buildings, streets, and public spaces, giving them new life and vibrancy and changing how we see them and how we experience our city. This winner, which we've dubbed the Art Alley, is perhaps the most untraditional of the bunch because of where it's found. An alley's not a place we usually associate with good design or consider interesting or alluring. What happened here, though, is that a group of individuals wanted to bring a huge display of visual art to the River North Art District and the whole city. And they chose this unusual canvas to bring that idea to life. The art is the work of some of the best local and nationally recognized street artists. It was created in one day during Colorado Crush, an event that brought artists and neighbors together for a day of visual artistry, community building, and urban transformation. This alley is no longer merely where the back end of a neighboring buildings meet, but is a veritable art gallery that redefines the alley's role in the neighborhood's landscape. The Art Alley is winning hearts in River North, and our planning director, Brad Buchanan, is perhaps its biggest fan. All right, our next category is Back to the Future, which highlights the preservation and adaptive reuse of historic buildings. These projects pay respective tribute to Denver's rich architectural history and ensure that these sites will continue to thrive and stir the imagination in the new century. Our first winner in this category is Station 26 Brewing Company. Originally built in 1960, the former Denver Fire Station number 26 was renovated in 2013 and reconfigured to serve as a neighborhood brewing tap room. The team behind Station 26 chose to honor the building's historic use and their brewery's name, breathing new life into historic structure and extending its life as a neighborhood hub. I also want to acknowledge Denver Fire for being a good steward of this building, leaving open the opportunity that someone could transform it for a new use. Brewery owners Justin Vicari and Annie Koneski ushered in this transformation with support from Greg Howes of R3 Design Architecture and Foothills Commercial Builders. Thanks to their work, the brewery will be a key part of the Park Hill neighborhood for many years to come, and the beer is not half bad. Our second winner in the Back to the Future category is another River North project, The Source. This 25,000 square foot artesian food market found a home in the 1880s Colorado Iron Works building. Following the idea that great things to eat, by the way, and drink are universally appealing with power to build communities. Zeppelin Development sought to repurpose the original foundry building with a strong commitment to preserving its original character. They enlisted Stephen Denya Architects, Barker Rinker CCAT Architecture, and White Construction Group to support their vision. The industrial design with clear layers of new materials complementing the original shell conveys the integrity and edginess of the merchants and this new marketplace. The building bridges River North's industrial roots and the new era that we are seeing unfold for the neighborhood. Our final category of the evening, Distinctive Denver, brings together all the elements that make our city what it is. These projects set themselves apart from similar structure, uses, and building forms, whether through ingenuity, whimsy, or a focus on bringing people together, or all the above. In short, they truly embody the Denver spirit. The first of these is a development at 2500 Larimer Street. This project reimagines something that we don't usually consider a place at all, a shipping container. There are 29 of them in all making up this development, and they come together in a distinctive arrangement that creates a street wall and adds vibrancy and flair to the area. The dark, muted colors of exterior walls are intended to fade into the background, so that particularly at night, the businesses glow from inside. Working with architect Matt Davis of Davis Urban and Sprung Construction and Gravitas Development Group, they have brought together new life and new energy to the neighborhood with this building. Our next project is one that really stands out. The Pencil Cove Stack on the University Building in downtown Denver took a building element that's usually invisible and highlighted it in an imaginable or imaginative way. As a piece of public art, the pencil is a fun and unique addition to the downtown landscape, and it serves as an exclamation point for the ground floor renovation that owner Neiman Partners, 910 Associates, used to bring new life to the university building. The design by Brandon Kellogg of Superfluent Design is evocative, I love that word, of the new business culture of the building and adds to the whimsical flair that fits right into downtown's modern urban environment. Our next distinctive Denver project is rooted in renewal. The Nancy P. Anschutz Center is the result of 4 years of community visioning, planning, and decision-making. The Boys and Girls Club of Metro Denver sought to create a place for neighborhood youth to go after school, a shelter and refuge where they could gather, learn, and thrive. The design incorporates structural pillars from the burned shopping area that once occupied the site. These peace poles serve as a reminder of a hopeful new start for the area's youth. Oz Architecture, Saunders Construction led the work and helped this facility rise from ashes to support a positive new legacy for the neighborhood. Our next project is right up my alley, and I'm not just saying that because it's my neighborhood. In the words of one committee member, you can't get more Denver than a beer garden. The Green Valley Ranch Beer Garden was conceived as an amenity for a growing neighborhood. Actually, one of the fastest growing communities in the state of Colorado. And what an amenity it is. A one-of-a-kind space that encourages patrons to interact, play games, bring their families, and enjoy great food and good Colorado beer close to home. The design blends the space into its surroundings, balancing an urban feel with the suburban quality of the neighborhood. Designed by architect Patricia Mueller Calendra and built by Rand Construction, this is a place residents can call their own, a place to meet, celebrate, and interact with neighbors. Last but certainly not least, our final winner is the Mile High United Way Mortgage Center for Community Change. Built as a mission-based community hub in the historic Curtis Park neighborhood, this facility was designed and built as a place where nonprofits, business, and policymakers will convene and identify and solve community-wide problems. Mile High United Way, along with Davis Partnership Architects and PCL Construction, worked closely with the Landmark Preservation Commission, Arapahoe Square and Curtis Park neighbors, and other stakeholders to create a design that feels aesthetically and historically connected to the historic district in which it resides. This building is a long-term investment in the redevelopment of the area and a perfect example of what happens when a community comes together. I am so honored. I hope you understand that the essence of tonight was really to honor the great creative work that's going into the building of this great city of ours. And as someone stood up here and said tonight, this is about all of us. I mean, everything you've seen tonight reflects the uniqueness, the creativity, and the real power of the Mile High City. And so you see people, you saw public housing being honored, you see United Way being honored, you see private residences being honored, companies, private companies being real unique and creative with regards to how they've created a space in our city. We are in the midst of a transformation, and when we bring creativity with the energy of change for the future, it makes for a powerful opportunity for every one of us. And so I want to thank you for being here. I want to again thank Brad Buchanan and the entire CPD team. Let me have the CPD team stand up just to be acknowledged. I want to please stand up, staff, just to thank them again for all their work. Thank you all for the tremendous work that you're doing and for helping to move these projects forward, because without you, there would be none of this, and you're making it happen. So thank you all. Thank you all for being here tonight. Stay for the reception and enjoy your evening. Be careful going home. God bless you.
Denver 8 TV, your city, your source.